Q&A thing. I'm working on my actual Q&A for my Instagram still. I want Eric to do a lot of the training one with me just because he'll have a lot more to offer just in terms of knowledge of some of the questions you guys asked. But in the meantime, my friend Kate, the Macro Experiment on Instagram, she had some questions for me and I'm gonna answer them right now. If you've never looked at Kate's Instagram or like her websites or anything, like, she's done a really cool tracking system of her experience with reverse dieting and flexible dieting and all that stuff. So she's really cool. So first question. First, I'd love to hear how you got started in bodybuilding and competing. So I started going to the gym. I danced my whole life. My junior year, I got a really bad hip injury. So I stopped dancing after that year, and to stay active, I started going to a gym. One of my friends was like, you should join the gym with me, and her mom was a trainer, so I would go and train with them. And then I started doing a lot of it on my own. I really loved it, so I became like your typical gym rat, just kind of doing whatever. And then I started hearing about competing. Like the more I was around the gym, like you see people and you're like, they look a little bit different. Like what do they do? So I started hearing about that. And then the first time I ever saw a picture of Amanda Latona, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So I've been training for a little while, and then I saw Latona. I was like, yep, I want to do that. I want to, like I mentioned before, I danced my whole life. I was also a singer. I did theater. So I decided to fuse the newfound love that I had for health and fitness with my longtime love of, being on stage and performing. Then, it's awesome that you're so transparent on social media about your past struggles. Could you tell us about how flexible dieting helped you overcome them? So first and foremost, for those of you who don't know, when I was younger, I struggled with eating disorders, primarily bulimia. But first and foremost, flexible dieting or any form of dieting at all is not a means of overcoming an eating disorder. I've had a ton of people ask me this, like, I'm trying to get over my eating disorder. Is flexible dieting a good way to do that? No. Any form of restrictive dieting really is not a way to overcome an eating disorder. In fact, it'll probably just, disorders have a way of manifesting themselves in different ways. So I think that, you can become just as obsessive about tracking and hitting your numbers as I was about, say, like planning binges and purges and all that stuff. Like, obsessive behaviors can manifest in different forms. So I was recovered before I ever started, even learning about flexible dieting. But with that, disordered patterns can return, and I think that flexible dieting helps to minimize, if not eliminate that, because it provides a choice. It removes, that binary system of there's good food and bad food, which is what a lot of disordered people have struggles with, is they see some foods as good and safe and other foods as bad and unhealthy. So it helps to eliminate the restrict, crave, binge, guilt cycle, because nothing is off limits. And it helps you to learn that, all food is permissible in, certain quantities or certain amounts. And it also just teaches you about food, like how to eat for your body and how to eat for your goals, because all bodies are different. But yeah, so it helps to, flexible dieting to me, it helps to quell obsessive behaviors and learn true balanced eating patterns. So next question, what is your personal experience like with reverse dieting? How many times have you implemented a reverse diet, and has each successive reverse been different? I kind of want to put some pictures in of this because I've reversed dieted 3 times. And I think it'd be cool to kind of see the progression. My first reverse diet was from September of 2013 to January of 2014, so right before my first contest prep. I did this completely on my own after learning from a lot of Lane Norton's vlogs and blogs and everything like that. And actually the first time I reverse dieted, I lost about 7 pounds by increasing food. This was the first time I ever lost weight on my own successfully, so that was really awesome. And so then in January of 2014, I went into my first contest prep. And then my second reverse diet was after my first contest prep, so between June 2014 and August 2014, about 8 weeks. And with this one, I started at 135 pounds, eating about 1,500 calories a day at the end of my diet, and then I ended 8 weeks later at around 143 pounds, taking in around 2,100 calories a day, and that's when I started contest prep again. And then my third reverse diet was after that contest prep. So from November of 2014 to March of 2015, so about 5 months, so a lot longer this time. Again, I started at 135 pounds. My stage weight ended up being the same, taking in about 1,700 calories, so a few hundred more calories than I had ended on the prep before. That time I ended at around this, so the beginning of my last reverse diet, I started at 191 carbs, 128 protein, and 47 fat. My numbers throughout prep were a little bit lower than that because we actually got to start refeeding me into my last show of that season, so that's what I ended at going into off season. And then I ended 5 months later in March at 147 pounds, 2,600 calories, 360 carbs, 135 protein, and 80 fat. I'll also include some pictures of where I'm at right now because that's after this reverse diet. This third reverse diet, I've added a lot. After this third reverse diet and, a different training cycle, I've added a lot more food. Not more food, a lot more muscle mass. And it's really cool to get to see that because I am in show season right now. And it's really cool to see, the gains that the last season brought. So how things have been different, I would say, my first reverse diet that was completely on my own, just starting to learn the ropes of flexible dieting and reverse dieting. My second reverse diet, I was doing a little bit more cardio. I was still, we still tapered it off, obviously, still doing, just bodybuilder style training. And we did implement weekly refeeds or free meals. So we started off with, one just untracked free meal a week. And then as that went on, we added in a second refeed, a tracked refeed, so basically more of a carbohydrate refeed than anything in that second reverse diet. And then in this third reverse diet, we didn't incorporate any refeeds like required, necessary, anything like that. If I felt like I wanted to go and have a meal that I didn't track, I just kind of did it. I didn't worry about calling it a refeed, I just, went. But another thing that was this third reverse diet was extremely different, especially because my training styles literally did like a 180. I switched to a strength training progression. That's when I started working with Eric. And what we found was, especially with how much I was squatting at the very beginning of it before I got injured, I maintained my stage weight for a very long time on larger jumps. So my second reverse diet after my first season of shows, I made smaller jumps each week in macronutrient increments. So, closer to like the 10 grams of carbs a week, and like 2 to 3 grams of fat per week. This time, because I was maintaining weight for so long, we made much larger jumps, like more around the 20 grams of carb range, things like that, just to get some body fat on me, just because it was fun staying stage lean. I was like, whoa, this is cool, like how is this happening, and getting stronger at the same time. But at the same time, I needed to add muscle and I needed to gain size, so we had to add a little bit quicker and more aggressively. Okay, so that is that. Like I said, I'll try and include pictures. Next question, I need a drink. What does a typical training session look like for you? Do you utilize any specific training protocols such as DUP? I asked Eric for the specifics because he does my programming. And the training protocol that we utilize is called SASTRAF, so getting strong as practice. Obviously that's sarcasm. But really my training program isn't really based on any program that already exists. Eric has a master's degree, so he kind of just comes up with everything that, fits the goals that I have for that specific time period. And utilizes elements of powerlifting and elements of weightlifting and elements of bodybuilding all together to help me reach those goals. So I don't have one specific style of training. I combine styles from all different realms, so the powerlifting world, the bodybuilding world, and the weightlifting world. So just combining all of those together, as well as right now in contest prep, sprinting. So sprinting, I think he's described what I would do is similar to what like a 200 runner would train like. So a typical training day in prep right now, 4 times a week I have track workouts, so 2 of those days are speed oriented days and 2 of those days are lactate threshold oriented days. And then 6 days a week I lift. I typically start with some kind of glute activation, tricep or superset, doing things like monster walks, GHDs, walking lunges, very light deficit deadlifts, clean pulls, things like that. And then I move into a strength-based movement such as a squat or a deadlift, or both in the same day. It really just depends on the day, but I do some squat variation every day. And then after strength movement, move into some sort of accessory work. Right now in prep it's more body part oriented, so shoulder accessory work, back accessory work, some leg accessory work. Some days we combine days and have like glute and shoulder work. I do a lot of supersetting with those just to keep conditioning up. With weightlifting, I did a lot more weightlifting in my off season. It's tapered back a little bit because of prep, just because there is a different focus right now. In terms of my focus right now is getting lean. And my Olympic lifts are one of the first things to suffer from that, just because being in a deficit and doing so much more, like doing more cardio than I was in my off season, it's hard to create that much neural drive and be that strong and have that much speed and technique. So that's been tapered back a little bit. I'll still incorporate, or Eric still incorporates, some light clean work, jerking, for shoulder work, snatching, especially now going into shows, because we want to minimize any bruising that might happen. The better I got at them, the less I would bruise, but I'm just not trying to take any risks of having collarbone bruises when I go on stage. And then I will throw in typically some extra conditioning at night. If I'm feeling okay, like I want to throw it in. If it's not going to hurt me in any sense, and if it helps me get better, then I also had some catching up to do. Before we figured out that my calories were out of balance, a couple months ago when I couldn't lose weight, we were a little bit behind, so I've had to throw in some extra conditioning. So I'll do some kind of HIIT interval with a warm up and cool down. So I'll normally do that at night. What advice would you give to girls struggling with the number on the scale and body image issues in general? Take a women's studies or feminism class. And that's like not even a joke. That's only like a half joke. I took one this past semester, and one of the biggest things that it helped me to learn was our unit on beauty. Beauty really is a social construct, and it's a reflection of who's in power, and it's fluid, which means it's subject to change. So if you look even right now, from culture to culture, so United States versus Asia versus, South America. There's different things in those cultures that are considered beautiful, and they're subject to change. So if you look at our culture, what was considered beautiful, years and years and years ago is vastly different than what we consider beautiful now. So learning, one, that beauty is fluid and subject to change, and two, that you don't owe it to anyone to be beautiful. You don't have to be beautiful. You can be whatever you want, but you're not required to look a certain way. So in terms of like body image and the scale, weighing less does not equate to being worth more. So something I've said is the amount of physical space you occupy is not inversely proportional to your worth as a human being. So just think of all the amazing things that your body is capable of doing, and how could you hate that? How could you be mad at that? I mean, obviously we all struggle with body image issues. It's a part of growing up. But learning to detach societal ideals from what you want to be, and that's just been pivotal for me, is I decided I wanted to be strong, and I wanted to be smart, and I wanted to be healthy. Yes, my sport is oriented around how my body looks, but notice how strong, smart, and healthy don't require any sort of beauty or any sort of physical appearance. And obviously I want to be kind, everything like that. I want to have traits that have nothing to do with what I look like. And then once you learn to detach the value of society's opinions with what you look like, that's when you grow into your own beauty. Like, you decide that you're beautiful. Like, I'm beautiful because I say I am, and because I'm proud of who I am and what I'm capable of doing, and the facility that allows me to do that, not because someone else told me that I'm beautiful or that I'm worthy of feeling beautiful. I know that I'm worthy of it. And then for competitors specifically with off-season, I get questions about this a lot. dealing with weight gain and reverse dieting and all that stuff. Strength train. Chasing things like PRs or a meet, something that has nothing to do with your appearance and has everything to do with your performance, that's pivotal. You know, we place so much emphasis as bodybuilding competitors on getting lean for a show because obviously that's the goal. That it can be, you know, tumultuous. It can create some turmoil in your mind and some body image issues. But learning to, you know, chase different things and to train not just for aesthetics but for performance and for just getting freaking strong. It gives you a whole new appreciation for the facility that you have and as well as your training. You know, a lot of people say like, I lost my zeal for training after prep. Then don't train for bodybuilding, you know, find something else to chase. And for me, strength training has given me a whole new appreciation of my body and what I'm capable of. So that's really awesome. And then the last one, you've inspired so many and made such an impact on the fitness community promoting a balanced lifestyle. What's on the horizon for you and what are you most excited about? Well, first of all, thank you. But things I'm most excited about, I'm excited about a lot right now. So in the next 6 weeks, I've got 3 national level shows coming up. So junior nationals, or at least planning on it if everything goes according to plan. So junior nationals is this weekend, but I'll get to do a lot of traveling and I love to travel. So I'll get to go to Chicago with my mom, New York and New Jersey with Eric, and then Chrissy and Drew will be there and we'll hang with them. And then Pittsburgh with my friend Allie that I met at the Kentucky Muscle and a lot of people from my posing team. So just competing and getting to travel and see people that I love. I get to do so much fun stuff and eat. I get to do so much fun stuff this summer. Going after my pro card in the next couple of years, you know, it's grind time. I'm really excited. Obviously it's hard, and there'll be struggles along the way, but I'm really excited to work for that. Sorry, there's weight bouncing behind me. So yeah, working towards that goal of having a pro card. Another one is trying a new sport. So with my off season, I want to do a weightlifting meet or a powerlifting meet. I don't know which one yet. It's going to kind of depend on how I feel after off season, you know, where my heart's being pulled. My heart's kind of being pulled one way right now, but I'm not going to say which way. Chasing some new PRs. I have suffered a little bit of strength loss this prep, just because of the catching up we've had to do. It hasn't been terrible by any means, but I am really excited to get back into, you know, I would hit PRs pretty regularly in my off season, especially with my Olympic lifts, but I'm really excited to get back to that and to really just get after it. You know, bodybuilding training is fun. It's been nice going back to it, but I really do miss, you know, really heavy squat sessions, really heavy deadlift sessions, all that good stuff, you know, progressing on my Olympic list. I miss that a lot. So I'm excited to see the gains I can make in this next off season. And experimenting with new training blocks and, you know, with whatever sport I decide to try and compete in, just different elements, different stuff. It's fun to me, it's fascinating. And then getting closer to graduating school. I'm really excited about that. I'm also really, yeah. So that has been my macro experiment interview. Thank you, Kate, for the wonderful questions, and thanks for watching, guys. Bye.